game reserve this morning. The clouds have receded and are starting to look up. My name is Tristan. On camera today I have Fergus. Say hello, Fergus. Oh, isn't he cute? It's Valentine's Day after all, so happy Valentine's Day to all of you out there. I hope that you all have a wonderful day and that you, wherever you now, this morning, so far, Scott and I have been out, and I do apologize, actually. That leads me to the fact that I must apologize for our tired start. There's a few little issues with our encoder, apparently. Encoder decided to this morning, so been out and about for quite some time. Scotty's already down near the southern boundary. I've been driving around sort of the dam area, and the reason why is there's mail line. So what I want to ask is if anybody saw anything on the dam cam. Remember, we are interactive, so hashtag Safari Live or on the chat should you want to try and get hold of it. Inactivity last night around quarantine, heard lots and lots of calling, so hopefully something. The last tracks I had of our mail line was heading in towards sort of the dam and the Wahlberg's Nest area. I'm just coming along Vultures to check if he didn't cross over the Mulawati. So far nothing going towards the dam itself, but you never know, maybe there is something there. So we're going to try and see if we can find where this mail line went. But I believe Scotty Dyson, the heartthrob Scotty 2, wants to do a romantic intro for all of you this morning.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Valentine's Day from my Senzo, who I'm teamed up on camera this morning. It's a beautiful day, and looking forward to trying to do something interesting for you guys to enjoy. Now, it seems like we've just heard some lions calling just south of our southern, not in an area where we can go on the move, and maybe they'll come towards us. Failing that, there is still this one male that did come on tonight that Tristan's trying to track down. So exciting prospects there, and what I'm doing is kind of working this general area, a proper look around for a leopardess called Thamba cub. It's been a couple of days since we've seen her, and who knows, maybe she's moved from where she was last camping out, but there's only one way to that's for us to search the area. So stopping and listening can be quite a useful thing to do, so that's what we've decided to do here. The video is very thick in the Sabi sands, far more dense than the video that you'll get to experience up in the Masai Mara later with, I think, Brent. Rather than trying to drive around and search for game, sometimes just stopping can be very useful, which is a difficult thing to do, especially for somebody like me who lacks patience, because it seems productive to just stop when you could be searching. But you can hear for further. See here. Oh, the lions are calling again. Let's point the camera there and see if you've got it. Sounds like just one lion, and I'm so glad it's very difficult to guess how far away it is. Saying anywhere from out to a mile away, not too far, but what is just like when you're having a conversation with somebody, if they are facing away from you, their audio will come through fast. They are facing you, and who knows, maybe this lion was the opposite direction towards where we are, so that will give you a good idea of how misleading it can be, or how difficult it is to actually judge where exactly the audio is coming from. They also call at different volumes, just like we speak at different volumes. Okay, very good. Well, who knows, maybe this is the same line that just, maybe it's a different one. Why don't you go back to his vehicle and see how his search is coming?
Well, I think it might be, Scott, because nothing's coming out on this eastern side, so I think turned and gone straight south, and I actually turned off when hearing the lions too, so I could hear, and it sounds like it is in that direction. But he is, so maybe this lion has just done a little loop through Juma. After all, it is the Juma gym. That's what lions treat this as. It's like they come for a workout and they run around on the road, give us a whole bunch of tracks, and then they just go away again. So probably them coming for their gym session last night, and now they've gone back south and are going to go and sleep and make a lot of noise so that we can hear them but can't see them. No good to those things. Maybe, just maybe, they get up and move. I turned off, and the reason why I also turned off was because if those lions were roaring on this side, he should theoretically have responded, given it's just one male on his own. So the fact that it's quiet on our side possibly means that that way and went straight south. But our answer should be given to us shortly. We come back out onto Twin Dams now, and theoretically his track should appear on the road somewhere on this side. I might be completely, and he might have just walked through the block and walked through bushes and various other things. But a male lion generally, when it is walking, likes a road. Seldom do we see them kind of veering off roads unless they're hunting or trying to follow a scent. So I'm hedging my bet that somewhere here should be a male lion track. Now, yeah, there's also where all the buffalo were, so I wonder if maybe they didn't come and smell what was going on here. These buffalo were a few days ago, the fresh buffalo, but it still smells quite sort of pungent at the moment, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they came here and sniffed about a bit just to see what was going on. They'll probably know that it's not fresh. Now, no tracks for this lion coming out here. Now, so no tracks coming out here, which is interesting. I would have thought maybe they came out this side. So why and see why there's no tracks here, or where they actually went. I'm going to send you over to, well, Mr. Valentine himself. I wonder if his shirt is and Brent Leo Smith in the Mara.
Welcome, good morning to another magnificent Masai Mara. We're in the triangle at the moment, and I'm looking for the Olololo Pride. My Leo Smith, Archie on camera, and of course back at Juma we have the non-dancing, no fun Battle of the Beards, Scott Dyson, Tristan Dix. Now I think we should have a Battle of the Beards this morning that has to do with finding a leopard or a lion. Who is going to be the first one of them to dance? Yes, no, I'm quite cold. It's cold this morning, so I've got multiple layers of clothing on. I've even got shuka on my leg. Cold, but I want to know. There we go. This is it. So hashtag Battle of the Beards, hashtag Tristan must dance, or hashtag Scott must dance, because it's Valentine's Day. So they have to dance today. I think that's just fair. I mean, if we had to ask, would definitely dance, Taylor would definitely dance, and I don't know what those two are so scared about. Now, we left the lions just above this forest, right? So I'm just having a quick look around here to see if they've come down. Doesn't look like it though. I'm going to have a quick look on this big hill up here, which is where I last saw them. Well, we do have a lovely Ellie bull to look at while I glass my binoculars. I wonder where those lions have gone. Heading towards that forest area, that lovely green grass from the little streams that come off the escarpment. Slowly walking through the sea of green in the Mara. Now remember, if you have any questions for us, hashtag Safari Live is the best way to get the question through if you're on Twitter, whatever feed you're watching on. Another windy morning in the Mara. So it's been quite windy the last few days. and you can see the red grass dancing in the wind. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, well, if on this side of the forest, let's go check on the other side of the forest. Oh. Okay, so we're having a few tests with our audio on something called an encoder, which is a way above grade. So we're going to give you a view of the sunrise over the Mara from Mountain Cam while our tech team tries to sort it.
Everything is back up and running smoothly now. Well done to Conrad, one of our technicians who managed to fight off the gremlins. We haven't had any joy yet with any sign of the leopard we are hoping to find, you guys. But it's still very early, so it's too soon to panic. I'm told our friend Brent up in the Mara has reopened the dance floor today, and I fear that for all of you that are hoping on seeing myself and or dance, that you may be waiting quite some time to get to see that happen, because I certainly wouldn't do that. And I'm actually not too sure why Brent thinks it's a good idea, because Brent's hopeless when it comes to dancing, at least I think so. So rather him as to what he knows best. I'm guessing what Tristan and myself are going to do as well. I just pulled over there. I thought I had found some tracks, but it was a getting down this road. These are not animals that we ordinarily track unless we're trying to find their den site. They just move such huge distances that it wouldn't be very productive. It would be time ill spent to track them down. Well, even though Tristan may not be dancing for you this morning, he does have another Valentine's surprise. I wonder what it is.
Well, Scotty D, yes, no, I don't know what Brent is on about with the dancing. I feel like he made a fool of himself, and now he wants to make us make a fool of ourselves, and I've referenced by falling out of a car, so we're not going to be doing more of that. But probably the best surprise I could have asked for today, because there's the termite mound is our boy Tumba. Where he's come from, I have absolutely no idea, but there he is sitting on top of, serious as he does, right on. So I came back to the last track of the lions. I said to Fergus, I'm just going to hop out here and have a look and see if I can find as to where this male lion goes. And as I put my foot on the ground, I looked up and there was this leopard just staring at me, not even 10 meters off the road. So how we missed Tumba here, I have no idea. But where he's come from, how he's gotten, absolutely no idea. What I can tell you, though, is that I'm super excited that he's here. It's my absolute of the young leopards that we have around here, and to see him sitting on top of a mound the way that he is absolutely perfect. So yeah, I know a lot of you have been asking about Tumba and whether or not he is doing okay, but as you can see, absolutely perfect. He's got his normal big ears, beautiful green eyes, still his pink nose, and you can seem to get quite big. Interestingly enough, there is not a single track in this whole area for him, so I cannot find a single track of him section. Look at how big those white those teeth are. Hello, boy. He is a magnificent individual. Now the hook'em is sort of nasty stare on him and has his own captivating way, but in terms of just, well, this has got to be one of the most beautiful animals that we have out here. He is absolutely incredible. How cool is that? Hello, boy. Where have you been? We haven't seen you in ages. So nice to see him, and like I say, right in the middle of how he's gotten here without any of us knowing, and he's sneaked in under our noses is anyone's guess, but absolutely amazing to see him. It's really very, very cool to be back in this area, and hopefully he's going to stick around for a few days. He looks as though he's watching a lot of what's going on. Now, there are a lot of animals in quarantine. Earlier, there was ratting, Impala, wildebeest running around, and so that's maybe why he's sitting on this little, just to listen and to see what's going on. Now, I think it was day to great. You say he looks amazing. He does. Yeah, he's actually looking really good. He's got quite a round tummy, which means he probably had some sort of food recently, and other than that, showing any signs of scarring or cuts or scrapes around his ears or his nose, so he hasn't really been having any issues with fighting other leopards. Actually in really good condition, so nice to see him. To see him back on Juma itself is absolutely right in the center of Juma, so it really is very, very cool. Now, he's been yawning and he's been kind of staring around, so I wonder if he's not just thinking about off this mound and starting to go towards quarantine. It would be absolutely spectacular if he walked that way, and I'm looking walking because he's just that. I want to see how big he's gotten in terms of his body size. Is sort of faring in relation to Hosanna and all the other leopards that are here, but he certainly looks really good. It's a wonderful way to have started our day, that's for sure. So, Safari Heart, you want to know what his spot pattern is? He obviously was listening to you because he's staring right at us so that we can show you. He's giving us the best possible view of his spot pattern. So there you can see on his left side of his face, he has 3 spots, so one on top of the other, and then that big spot just to the bottom left, and then that side, it's basically, it looks like one big spot on the top right, but it's actually a divide in there. So I think a 3-3 is what we've decided here. So 3-3 spot pattern, but that one spot is so close together that sometimes often people will say it's a 3-2 spot pattern, but they break between those spots on the right hand side. You can see there that the spots kind of tail in the middle there, and there's a small little beige line in between. So he's giving you a nice pose just to make sure that you can see what I'm just his head slightly, and then a big yawn. But look at those teeth, they really are looking very, you can tell he's a young cat because of how white those teeth are. When they get a little
with the Olololo pride. They're not very far from where we left them last night, enjoying of morning sun. Now, there's one adult female over there. The others are spread out a little bit lower down. Now, there is a below us, but they're not looking like they're very interested in the buffaloes. But isn't that a lovely sign? A sighting, sorry. All the lovely cubs perched of a little mound looking down over the Mara. Now you can see, there we go, there's two of the other lionesses, and there's a third one that's just out of sight at the moment. Isn't that gorgeous? Such beautiful light here this morning. Well, it seems like they were well-behaved lions, and they didn't go wandering up the hill. Yeah, it's quite quiet. A few birds chirping around. You might hear sounds of a few people talking that are also enjoying this gorgeous morning sun of the Olololo Pride. Dale says, it's beautiful and calming. Oh, there we go. There's another lioness's head who's popped up. He looks like he's a little bit more interested in the buffalo. Not too much, though. Isn't this just spectacular? You almost want to break out into song or dance. Now, I don't know if you remember last year's Valentine's Day. We got James quite nicely. Some flowers and some wild fruit. He did look a bit silly when we got over. Now, Patrick says this may sound like a silly question. Why are there no bushwalks in the Mara? Patrick, there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, we're operating within a national reserve, so no one is allowed to do bushwalks in the Mara. And secondly, it would be too dangerous. The fact is that it's so open, the grass is so long, you can get surprised, mostly by buffalo and hippo. Are the two most dangerous things on bushwalk. So that is why there are no bushwalks here. It's not safe. Also, it's not loud. So that's also probably quite a big reason. But walks in the Mara. Oh, that lioness has popped her head up. Has she seen buffalo? It's possible. Be interesting to see. Warthog they ate last night is definitely not going to keep all of them well fed. Oh, but let's send you all the way back to South Africa from a tawny cat one.
He's come up onto another termite, and he's watching what I think is some ellies in the distance, because I heard a little crack in the back, and now he's decided to lie down and just have a bit of a nap. But he really is a cool individual, and he's kind of gotten a little bit more He's gotten a bit bigger, but not much. He's not as big as Hassan is for sure. And Hassan is bulkier than what Tumba is at the moment. Tumba's got this awkward phase where his legs have gotten very long. Body hasn't quite caught up with those legs yet. So he's going to be a nice tall male leopard, but at still got to bulk up quite a bit. But he really is a spectacular individual. And like I say, seeing him here is such a good feeling. It's been so... Actually, funny enough, this morning drove past the dam when we were trying to track line, and I drove past a little dip where we once had an epic morning with Tumba sitting in the dam wall, and I was actually just thinking about him, and I was thinking, I wonder where he is and what he's been up to over the last little bit. So it's pretty that he's back here for a bit. I don't think he's going to obviously stick around too long with Hukamuri kind of marauding around this area and being... I don't think Tumba's got a chance, unfortunately, to stay here for long periods of time, but hopefully he can kind of stay around and can stay for some sort of semblance of time for us, and that we can enjoy him for a few days, and then kind of he can come in and out over the course of the next months. I'm under no illusions that the path for him to stay in this area is going to be a very tough one, but the interesting thing is he's done exceptionally well over the last... If you think that he has had a situation where he's had to leave his mom kind of left him in the whole bunch of male leopards, and he's managed to kind of find his way and survive through all of that. Good so far. Right, now I believe Brent Leo Smith, who this morning, has found himself an iconic scene, so I think we should send you off that side, because apparently it's all very...
Well, there we go. That lioness who had a bit of her eyes is up and moving towards the buffalo. She might not be after the buffalo. She might be a dog or a Topi or something else close by. But there's definitely something that has caught her eye. And it's caused all adult lionesses now. You can see there's one that's coming from the pile of cubs. And is also heading all four of the adult lionesses from the Olololo Pride and on the move and on the hunt. Very beautiful out here this morning. Now the wind straight towards them, so if they are stalking those buffalo, it is in their favor. Here we go, look at them through the grass. Now I'm going to have to move shortly to try and get us into the best spot. We are going to hunt. Which it definitely they are. Now the cubs are going to start following them, but at a bit of a distance. Yeah. I say it could be something else, because we've been low watching them and they've been up on the high ground looking over. There we go, we've popped up onto the high ground. You can see there the buffalo spread out below us here. Head towards the buffalo. This pride doesn't particularly like hunting buffalo. I will take little buffalo, but it is quite a risk. Let's keep moving. Oh, it's there. Now, all hunts, you don't want to be behind generally if you can help it. Up ahead, so I'm going to move up ahead. And try to get ourselves in a position where we can see everything that's going on. So while we get up ahead, let's go see what the spotted cat back on Juma is doing.
Well, our spotted cat on Juma and is looking as serious as he possibly can, and is kind of staring off into the distance at the moment and know what he's up to. He's kind of in a situation where he's watching what's going on, but sleep decides, no, I'm going to wake up again. But it's interesting to kind of watch him and see how he goes about things and how he's sort of moving on. Snazzy, wondering if all leopards have blonde eyelashes. Well, Snazzy, I honestly have never noticed if they've all got blonde eyes. They all have these kind of lightish markings on top, and then some of them will have little sections, but most of the time they're pretty much sort of got the same their eyes. I've actually, like I say, never really paid attention to their eyelashes. I must be honest. It's not something I've kind of looked at, but I'll have to think about it. He's got a big tick on his neck there. You see that? Now he's busy looking at Scotty, because Scotty's in the background there behind us, and he's busy having a little look at what Scott is up to behind him over there. So there you can see Scott and Senzo. They're busy having a little look at what's going on. Right, so there's Tumba. That's why he's just having a little look. He's like, I don't know. I'm going to see him. Right, so Tumba's busy climbing up to the top of the mound. He's going to try and find himself a better place to sit. Yes, there he is. I'm going to just try and reposition ourselves, because much as it's beautiful to have the clouds and everything else, it's quite a harsh light that is by. If it had been maybe 45 minutes ago, it would have just been absolutely spectacular to have it sitting, because we would have had this most beautiful orange sky. Whereas now, at the moment, it's a little bit more kind of sort of difficult to get the exposures right and to get exact things. So Ferg, let me come round a little bit so that we can see him a little bit better. But what I am interested to see with Thamba, which is quite sort of different, is that he's not quite the same with vehicles as he was a few months ago. He's a little bit more kind of wary of what's going on. So as soon as a vehicle kind of pops out, he tends to try and sort of look and being with him now, walking down the road, and I used to be in front of him and he would kind of watch, but today, as soon as I came out onto the road, he kind of veered off a little bit. So he's certainly not as relaxed as he was a couple months ago. Maybe that's just because he's been living this nomadic lifestyle where he hasn't had vehicles with as much as what he has with in the past, and maybe just being a little bit more elusive. And he knows that he needs to be a little bit more kind of relaxed about what's going, or not relaxed, I mean a little bit more going on, and make sure that he watches and make sure that everything is okay. At the end of the day, with all these other males around, he can't afford to have too much attention drawn to him. Himself bigger and stronger before he's able to really kind of participate in the game that is being played at the moment in terms of territories. He needs to be clever, like spend massive amounts of time on the road and places like that, and just try and cross roads and not leave too many marks that he's actually around. You will get males like Hukumuri that are going to try and sort of find out where he is and try and track and chase him out. So he needs to be a little careful at this stage. It seems as though he's managing, like I say, he seems to have found a way to get between all of them, and he's certainly becoming the wanderer of this area, because from Mala Mala he went through a nets, then he came through Chitwa, Gari, through Juma, into Buffelshoek, up to the Manyeleti. From the Manyeleti, went back down, all the way to Ottawa boundary, and then he came back through Arethusa, and now seems to be on Juma. So he's kind of a boy that likes to move around. Where are you off to now? You're going to a better place. He's such a termite mound cat, this. He always likes to be on the mounds and kind of sitting around. But isn't that absolutely beautiful? Tail the way it is. I'm going to go back around, Ferg, just so we can have that view of him, because he really is just so pretty when he sits like this. Come on, let's get around here. It's a turnaround, which is nice. We can just reverse back. How old leopards are typically when they start competing for dominance? Well, I mean, obviously it's on what's going on around them and what other males are around and who's kind of in the. Normally we see a situation where a leopard will start being able to compete for dominance around 4 to 4.5 years old. Maybe sometimes a little bit later in some cases in a male-rich environment. Here it might be a little bit older, like the Hukumuri male at 5-6 years old. Other places in Sabi, there's a young male leopard there that's not even 3 years old that is mating, marking and doing his thing. So it just depends on the dominant males within that area, but generally in 4 to 5 years old is when they start establishing themselves as a territorial male. So both have got a long way to go. I mean, Hosanna's just turned 2. Thamba only turns 2 in July, so it's still a while for him until year old. And so the two of them have got a long way to go. If you think about they've got to get to at 4 years old, another 2 years on top of that is double what they're on for. So it is a long period that they've got to try and kind of work out what's going on and where they're going, how they're going to work. And so it's going to be interesting to see where they do end up. I just hope that both of them, no matter Hosanna and Thamba, I just hope both of them end up being dominant males in areas where we can still follow their progress. So if they're not going to be the dominant males here, which we hope that they'll be kind of this area, then hopefully they'll end up somewhere where we can at least still follow what's going on and see how and what they're up to, and kind of just get a sense going on and how they fare in life, because either way they're both incredible males and they're going to be great stock wherever they go. Caesar, you want to know if leopards have coat? So no, don't. Leopards are the only true solitary cats that we get out here in Africa. So the lions have and cheetah males have coalitions, but not leopards, unfortunately, because I think Hosanna Tumba would be the most epic thing to see. Imagine the two of them roaming around together causing havoc. It's just not designed, unfortunately, to be that way. They do well on their own, and they are an animal that likes to hide and to sling, kind of get out of the way, and also the way that they hunt is not very having another member trying to help them. They use the situation where they ambush and they try and get in nice and close, and they're not fast animals, like they can try and chase towards one another. So it's better that they are on their own. They've been designed for what they are sort of able to do and how they've developed as a species. So unfortunately no coalition, but like I say, it would be really cool to see Thamba and Hosanna as a coalition. I think they would make a fine pair, the two of them. But look how long his whiskers are as well. He's got incredibly long whiskers, and those are all going to be, so they're going to be able to help him figure out what he's doing, how he's going through the grasses, whether there's prey animals in front of him, also things getting into his eyes, and those kind of sort of grasses and stumps, if they, especially in the night, he feels them on his whiskers. He is able to work quickly what's going on. So important to have big whiskers like that. And then obviously these big, beautiful greenish colored eyes that Thumba's got. Mesmerizing, that's for sure. And you can see a little sun glint in the eye as well. Absolutely beautiful. How cool is that? He's got a web across his face too. Sorry, boy. It's the time of the year where the spider webs get on all of us. So not only us, but the leopard, the odd spider web. But he really does have mesmerizingly beautiful eyes. It's such a wonderful thing to see this cat. He's seriously pretty. Actually, funny enough, we were talking about his eyelashes, whether they all have blonde eyes. So he's got blonde above his kind of eyes, but there's little hairs just below that blonde that are on the top side. Where are you going? Are you going to come say hello? How cool is this? Hello, boy. It's a long time since I've spent lots of time with you, so you can see he's just walked right and hasn't even batted an eyelid. Maybe it just took a bit of time for him to get used to the fact that we were with him, but how cool is that? So he's not exactly full, but he's not looking bad in any way whatsoever. His condition is good. You can see what I was saying about his legs. Look how legs appear. Compare that to maybe Hukamuri or even Hosana. Hosana seems to have, shorter base legs, and that's because his body is quite deep on Hosana. Still got to get that situation. He's still got to fill out a little bit more, get bigger across the shoulders, and his body will fill out and grow into those legs. At this stage, kind of that awkward stage where his legs are a little long for the rest of his body, but eventually we'll get into them. He's going to be a really exquisite animal when he's a little bit older, that's for sure. Right, let's catch up with him. I'm sure that's not the last term we're going to be going up. Like I was saying, he absolutely loves a little termite mound, so I'm sure we'll be going to some more. Right, now I try and keep up with Thamba and see where he's off to and whether or not he's going to a morning stroll. Let's send you back across to Brent and those lions and see whether they're on the hunt.
Well, the lions have decided against buffalo. So they've moved away from the buffalo. I think they're now trying to see if they can find warthogs. The whole pride is caught up with them. So lots of lions in the long grass, heading almost due east at the moment. And you will see other vehicles around enjoying this sighting. And keeping a close lookout. I can't see potential prey up ahead. But as I say, the grass is very long, which makes warthogs quite difficult to spot. There you go, you can see them using little turns at a little bit of height to see a bit further. Oh, look at that! Hornbill just jumped out of the grass. Oh, one of the cubs maybe checked it. There we go. There you go, the ground hornbills. I'm sure there's obviously a cub that spooked the ground hornbills off. Beautiful. So as I said, they eat mostly water here, so I think they're looking to see if any warthogs have come out of their burrows in the long grass. They're quite warthog burrows in this area. So what they're doing now is scanning for any sign of movement in the grass. And as we can see, they've completely ignored the burrow. Mom, I'm hungry. Ready. Buddy would like to know, why are they hesitant to hunt buffalo? They are a very large pride after all. Buddy, there are only 4 adult females, and Mara lions don't seem that many buffalo, apart from the males, and certain prides like the Paradise Pride, the Sabi Pride, seem to be all more buffalo specialists than the others. Also Salt Lick Pride, actually. It's 17 lions, but you must remember only 4 of them are adults, the rest are suburbs. Okay, let's move along. like they're going to head down towards the main road. Might stop for a bit of scent marking on the tree. Now, Caitlin is wondering, is there a hierarchy amongst the females in the pride? Caitlin, so unlike the male coalitions, there isn't really a set hierarchy amongst the lionesses. And also go with hunts and that like that, it's almost always led by whoever's the most hungry or the potential prey first. Look at that. I'm going to disappear grass here. As I said, I've been looking carefully up ahead of the lines and I have not seen any Topi, no pigs. But there could always be a warthog in the grass that we have. I don't think they've spotted any either. They're just marching at the moment. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? And the grass up here is a bit shorter than in the direction. Oh, there's a lioness right next to us. Of the adults. In the direction they head is going to be longer. Is wondering how much of a hunting instinct is taught versus instinct. I would say 99.999% of lions' hunting instinct or hunting is instinct. You don't need to teach a lion how to hunt. Okay, let's with them. Lots of big holes around here, like that one there. It still has water in it, that one. That one looks quite nice. And another one. I try to go tricky off-roading, lots of to the big-eared.
Well, indeed, our big-eared Tumba is having a little relax now on this 2-track that takes us quarantine. So he's done a nice big loop and is going kind of back up. And I think it's because he's Impala's rutting and going crazy on quarantine this morning. Probably also the baby wildebeest. And now he's thought, well, hang on a second, there's if I can't hunt it. And so he's just been kind of creeping along slowly. And the last time I saw the wildebeest was in this sort of southwestern corner that we're in at the moment, and so I think that's why he's used to come all the way around, and he's coming up onto, I think, hoping to catch maybe some of these and other animals that were coming off in the thickets. Certainly a very clever game plan that he's trying to use, but there you go, you see he's up. Then it's interesting because as soon as another car comes, he gets a little bit more fidgety. Strange, because he never used to be like that. He used to be an individual that you could have 3 cars moving around and he didn't really care. But it seems as though as soon as he sees another car or hears another car, he's a far more mobile creature, which is strange. There's a really beautiful coming up. Hopefully he's going to go and climb onto that. I'm hoping that he's not going to go to the left. He goes to the left and drops into this drainage. This is a horrible place. I followed Hukamuri through here about 3 and the damage that it does to the cars is not ideal. So I'm hoping that he rather on the sort of path and goes straight forward onto quarantine, but it looks as though he's looking down into the drainage, which is not ideal. So he's still on the path, but he's kind of looking down into that area. So I wouldn't be surprising to me if a leopard walks right out in the open and tries to kind of walk on quarantine. I think it's more a situation where he's going to be trying to get into the... I believe Brent Leo Smith is going to get one last view of those lions as they disappear the thickets that send you across there, so that you can also enjoy that last view with Brenty.
Yes, unfortunately the lions have crossed the main road, are in the high usage roading zone, so there are no roads close to the area where they're heading. They're going to disappear shortly into that sea of grass that is in the Mara at the year. Oh, sorry, there was nearly a on the road. There we go. A couple of, and that for the Olololos this morning. Maybe they'll come out of this area later. We never know. That's the joy of a live African safari. Okay. So look at that. I'm just going to wait for the cars to go past. We have absolute, almost like what happens quite often here in the Mara, people forget about the lions and they start watching us. So we're not going to get lions, so let's go across to Tristan.
Okay. Well, we are sitting here still waiting for Tumba to come out there. You can just see his tail in the background, Ferg, in the top left of the... I actually think he's laid down again. So position, because he's lying down. So I would park here in case he was going to walk in this direction, but it seems as though he's decided to take a little nap. No, he's coming straight towards us. There we go. So our positioning was go back a little bit because I don't want to cut him off and give him a little bit more space to do his... He's certainly going to hopefully walk along the road straight towards us. That's the plan anyway. Hopefully Tumba will do it. There's a few trees here that I don't want to hit. There he comes. Beautiful is this though. He's coming through this morning kind of green grass. There's a bit of dew over it, and there he is kind of striped. So what I'm going to try and do is just give him a bit more space, because I don't want to kind of cut him off too much and be able to walk along the road as much as he wants to. Dale, you're wondering what color a leopard's fur or skin is under their fur. Is it pink or black? Dale, leopards have an interesting thing in that their fur matches their fur. So they have actually got rosettes on their skin, which is pretty cool. So they have these little black rosettes on the skin. If you had to shave them, you'll still see those little rosettes, which is a very cool thing. But the skin is color with the little black rosettes that they have on it. So there we go. It's just attention. Now hopefully he goes onto one of these mounds on quarantine, because it is absolutely beautiful here. Walking towards us, so I'm going to just keep reversing back. Like I said, I don't want to cut him anyway, so I'm just going to reverse off the road a little bit and then just kind of hug the road, and that'll allow him, if he wants to come past us at some point. But this is absolutely beautiful. It's a pity he's walking the way he's walking with a light behind him. If he was walking the other way, it would have been absolutely spectacular. No, he's decided this is where he wants to go. He's off the road. So I'll let him go. There's a big termite mound that I think he's heading towards. That's probably where he's off to. But how pretty is that? Like I say, through those summer grasses, you've got the seeds that are catching the morning light, and a beautiful leopard that is walking in amongst it. How cool. I'm so excited that this guy is here. He's just such a champion. He always provides quality sightings. I don't think I've ever had a really boring Tumba sighting. He seems to be up to something and seems to always kind of have these wide eyes and watching what's going on. So I thoroughly enjoy spending time with him. He's such a wonderful creature. So hopefully he's going, like I say, going to be around for many months to come. He's got an opportunity, I think, if he just tries to stick around maybe Juma camp. there's not too much going on here at the moment. Obviously with Tingana kind of not the way he normally does, and Hukumuri is kind of just sort of tentatively moving in, the camp has an area where few males have been stepping foot, so it's actually not the worst place for Tumba just to hide out. Camp, use the dam as a sort of hunting ground, quarantine as well. So he spotted something. Look, he's gone into a bit of a different pose, and you can see he wants to put that front paw down, but he doesn't know quite where. There we go. Over. So he's kind of slinking now. I wonder if he's spotted maybe a little duiker or a steenbok. Tail is twitching as well. So he's stopped. Fergie's just stopped at the back there. It's quite difficult to see because of the light. We're staring straight into the light. There he goes, just walking in behind that bush. So try and get round here and just see if I can see where he's heading, because otherwise we are going to lose quickly. Oh, here he comes. He's coming straight towards me. Tumba, every time I think you're going the other way, you just me. It's quite delightful, actually. It makes life certainly that much easier. There he comes, straight in front. Very cool. I love it when these cats are around. And I was actually thinking this morning, I was puzzling a little bit as to where I was going to find a leopard. I wasn't really as to where to drive, and so Scott said he was going to look for Tundi and cubs. So I thought, well, I'll just meander about, and then we had those male lion track for a while since I've seen a male lion, so I thought, well, we'll try and track that, and then to get a little leopard surprise. Remind me, don't worry about the lions. I think Tumba was giving me a message. Say, you know, you're welcome to look for lions, but don't forget about us leopards. Now, Carol, you why leopards like to sit on termite mounds? Well, it's very simple, is that a termite mound is a great to what's going on around you. So you can see if there's going to be any prey animals that you can, any predators that are potentially dangerous to you. So really good places to kind of environment and see what's going on. On top of that, they're also very good places because a lot of shade, and shade is obviously a good thing when it's a sort of hot day. So you'll find leopard mounds where there's big trees like scotias or tamburtis that grow off mounds, and they'll try and then get into a situation where they can tree, and it's a great place. There's a bit of a breeze up on a mound as well. So he's heading down. Okay, I'm just trying to work out where's my best entry point here, because it gets so thick inside here. It's not a very easy place to negotiate. Okay, so there he is. He's gone way past the mound that I thought he might be going to. Pretty mound on one side here, but put your helmet on.
Have you got your seatbelt on?
I've got my seatbelt on, and have you got your helmet? You've got your helmet. Excellent. So there we go. So Fergus has got helmet. I've got seatbelt. Right, now while I try and I'm going to get back towards where Tumba is, let's send you over to Scotty, who I believe has been secretly helping Ferg and myself.
Yes, we've been snooping around Tristan and Ferg and Tumba, having a good time trying to get some two shots of the vehicles and the animals that we are looking at. It's not something that happens very, very often. So something different today, and it's also very useful for us to get some stock footage of us with predators for advertising and TV shows and this, that, and the next thing. So sadly, Tumba's moving in areas that are so difficult for us, but nobody said it was going to be easy, and enjoying the challenges as we go along. So what we've done, we've looped considerably further ahead of Tristan. And we've just spotted a baby lone Impala that is heading straight towards it. If he continues on his trajectory that he's been moving, this Impala is in trouble. And the fact that it is all alone makes it a very precarious position, because it doesn't have the eyes and ears of other Impala to assist in the leopard. But we're quite far from where we last left Tumba. I would say we're about 100 yards away. And for now, the Impala is okay. But like I said, if Tumba continues moving in that direction, we also could be in a very, very fortunate position film from here and also be able to let Tristan know what's going on from that end, thus having as little as possible on the hunt, if in fact it goes down. But it's bush. There's a strong chance Tumba could walk past within a short distance of this impala without having any idea that it's here. Oh, family, what are you doing all alone? You are far too young to be out alone. Well, interesting stuff. So we're going to definitely keep a close eye on the impala and not go anywhere, just for hopefully Tristan and Thamba to come in here. A lot of you are saying that you've been loving the 2 shots. Well, I'm very happy that you've been enjoying Senzo's snipe so far. Like I said, we haven't had much luck. It's been a bit of a tricky session, but there's no rush, and hopefully we'll be able to spend more time before other vehicles make their way into this sighting. My gamble to come this far ahead of Tristan into a bit of an ring where if Tumba and him did pop out it would have been beautiful seems to not have dividends just yet. I can hear Tristan driving about, so I'm guessing Tumba is still on the move. Well, I'm not sure what ended up happening with the lions that were here. A large herd of buffaloes in the mara with Brent, but why don't you go straight back up into the beautiful open plains and see what exactly is happening up there.
Well, the lions went into the no off-roading zone, so we're heading down towards now, see what else is about. Still not moving too quickly. It's still very chilly. But yeah, not much happening here in the long grass. Try head down towards the Mara River. Not even Ellie's around apart from those bulls we saw earlier on. Wading through a sea. Always on the lookout for black rhino in this area at this time of the morning, is in the forests. Like there's back in South Africa as Tumba is back on the move towards those impala.
He is indeed. It seems as though he's chasing some impalas that were just... I couldn't see how many there were or what the situation was, but we just saw a blur of impala going past us and Tumba hot on their heels. Now you can see he's intent, he's watching, his ears are forward, and that tail every now and then is just doing a little twitch. The tail really curled up and there's this little slow twitch happening, and that slow twitch is often when something is quite close and they don't want to away too much that they get a little excited and the tail just goes back and forth a little bit like that. So he is really interested in what's going on. Whether or not it's that little that Scott saw, I'm not quite sure. Scott is not too far from where we are, so it could be that little baby impala that he was watching. Like I said, dead quiet, we weren't moving at all, nobody was moving, and all of a sudden the impalas started to... I wonder if it's not a situation where Tumba is maybe just kind of biding it and working out exactly what to do. Luckily for us, we kind of in this position where we can sit quite still where we are. I can't see the impalas anymore, like I say, from us, but maybe they're just somewhere behind all of these kind of thickets and Tumba will be able to get in there and find them. Certainly looks like he's interested. Hello, boy. I'm keen to see how he's obviously doing fine, because he wouldn't condition if he wasn't able to find food. It's been a long time since we've seen him on a kill, and I know that he recently was on a kill, but prior to that, we don't really hear too much about the kills that he's made. So I'm interested to see what he's actually targeting. Mostly small antelope that he's after, or is he a lot of things like monitor lizards, birds? I'd imagine that's probably what he's on. If he's not being found with kills often, he must be of things. But it's such a thing at the moment to see how most of these cats unfortunately have ticks. I was just looking between his shoulder blades. There are so many ticks between his shoulder blades that where a lot of the cats often get a tick infestation because they can't quite get to that area. But you can see there's 4 of very engorged ticks. Now, if these ticks carry any diseases that would affect these leopards, so in small numbers like this, no. Ticks on a cat, but it's not really. If you think about how much they walk through the bush, those engorged ticks are few and far between, really. And it's only in places where he can't reach of his coat you won't find too many ticks. It's just between his shoulder blades where he can't get his tongue to actually pull them off. So in a situation like this, you get an over infestation. So let's say Tumba for some reason was not finding food, he got weaker, started to kind of lose weight, and started to look a little bit like what Mvula was looking like. Sometimes they get a lot of ticks on them, they don't groom themselves properly because they're not really feeling great, and they can get an over infestation ticks, and that can then cause a lot of issues. And funnily enough, giraffes a lot. So giraffe are one of the animals that do get poisoned by ticks or blood poisoning from ticks, and so you'll find that if a leopard had enough ticks on it, it would be possible. But they are meticulous groomers, and generally they'll try and keep them off as much as possible. So 4 or 5 ticks around the ears and on the back of the neck area is going to be too much of a problem for these animals. Remember that these animals have lived out here for many years, and so if ticks were a major problem, you'd find them die and their species would become extinct. So they've developed and evolved sort of ways to deal with parasites and to be able to still survive even when parasites are present. So just fine, and Tumba certainly won't have any ill effects from a tick. Right, now Tumba is still moving straight of where Scott is, who I think is still with the baby Impala. So let's send you across there quickly and see if maybe that Impala is going to stay still as Tumba moves way closer.
Well, for now, the Impala dead still. It hasn't moved from this kind of shady thicket that it's seeking refuge in. And I really just can't help but wonder, why is it in the herd? What happened last night? Why did they split up? It certainly looks healthy, so it hasn't been left behind because it couldn't keep up with the herd, injured in any way. And if Tumba's also seen it, or if it can just smell something. Steezer, you'd like to know if Impala are closely related to deer? Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, they're beasts, but the fact that our antelope Africa don't have antlers, they have horns, it does make them quite different. So all deer get their horns annually, and they grow back bigger each year. It's a very different system to the antelope of Africa, whose horns will grow their life, and if they break off, that's that. Now I've just got a visual of Tristan. Let's show everyone where Tristan is, and I'm guessing Tumba's between us and him, and it means that the could be in trouble. So that's where Tristan is, and I'm that Tumba's moving somewhere in between us. Now, if this Impala, there's a strong chance that Tumba will not see it. Quite like I said a little bit earlier, but if it runs out or moves, or lets out a contact call looking for its mother, that will be a big problem for its future. I remember once sitting with Kruger, a female leopard that a lot of you know very good, managed to kill an adult female Impala and the young Impala was therefore orphaned, and we went the following morning after she had made a kill, and this poor was calling out to its mother, and its mother's murderer came and dispatched it. That was actually the first that I filmed here with you guys, the first live kill that I shared with a lot of you. Isn't it that this prey is so close to a predator, yet it seems like both of them don't know the threats / opportunities that are available to each other. It goes to show how hard it is for the predators to catch their prey in a situation like this. Let's show you where Tristan is now. There he is in the bushes. I'm not sure where exactly it is in relation to him, but we are going to send you back onto Tristan's vehicle now.
Well, the leopard is between Scott and I, so it's on the base of the termite mound. It's not very far, and you can see Tumba has almost found himself a little shady spot and is just taking it easy. But there was a noise just now that sounded much like a leopard kind of growling, and Tumba turned around in this matter of seconds and looked in that direction, and then immediately lay down and dropped his ears. So I'm trying to look, maybe there is another individual here, but I don't think so. Tumba's not salivating anymore, and he's starting to it was just something that sounded like it, because both of us kind of shot around to see what it was, and I couldn't see anything, and I don't think he can see anything either. Also don't think he's spotted Impala lamb, so even though Scott can see it, and as Scott was mentioning, I don't think either one of them knows about it. Tumba is a few steps away, so if he just keeps moving slightly, he'll be able to spot that. Spots the lamb, even if the lamb bolts from where he is, he'll still be able to carry on trying to kind of follow it, because once he's spotted an opportunity, there's no mother, he knows that that lamb, well, he should know, and it will be a learning curve for him, that that lamb is an opportunity. Oh, look at that, look at those eyes. When the sun just glints through slightly and just catches his eyes, they are absolutely stunning. Really is a striking looking fella. Like I say, he's got very dark markings around his face as well, which just accentuates his sort of pale colored eyes that he has and makes them look that much sort of brighter, I think. Well, that's how I feel about it. The dark black that he's got in amongst this sort of eye area and then down towards his nose just really kind of contrasts with his eyes, and it's a good candidate for a black and white image, actually, thinking about it, because those light eyes will come. Christy, so you're wondering if Tumba is downwind of the Impala. Well, the wind feels like it's blowing from my right side to my left, so basically, so not really downwind, but at the end of the day, the wind is not blowing from him to the Impala, and the Impala is not blowing towards him, so it's kind of just gusting across the face of both of them, which is, I suppose, neither here nor there. Because it's not gusting towards the Impala, it's not going to alert the Impala of his presence. Also, that little baby Impala of the day might not even know what a leopard is. I don't know how big it is. I haven't seen this baby Impala, so I'm not sure how big Impala is and whether or not it's a brand newborn. But if it's a brand newborn, it might not have any idea what a leopard is and whether or not that is dangerous. It might have some sort of instinct that it needs to be aware, but it might not know 100% exactly what that smell is. And so Tumba has a good opportunity here. If he can just kind of stumble a little bit to spot it, then he's going to be in good shape and hopefully be able to start hunting it. But it will be interesting though to see how it all goes. Oh, we're going to just groom ourselves. So you can see why I can't reach those ticks on the back of his neck. It's just in that perfect spot. Because sometimes when you sit here, you want to just jump off and go and grab the ticks and pull them and kind of clean them up, but you know that they'll eventually drop off. Once they're engorged, they drop off and they'll leave him alone, and come the winter months, very few ticks will be on him. But I don't know if you also noticed there when he was grooming himself, he was just kind of licking his paw just to see how massive Tumba's paws are. He's I mean, he's obviously not the same size as Hosana or Tingana or any of the others. He's still growing, but he's absolutely massive. His track is very similar to that of Tingana's. I've said it before, and I've seen their tracks side by side, so I know that they're not very much different. He has got ginormous front feet for his age, and certainly paw print behind. He often gets confused for a large male leopard, and I wonder if he'll ever grow into them, or if it's just going to be a situation where it happens. As some lions and some leopards all have different track sizes. Even big lions or leopards sometimes have quite small feet, and smaller lions or leopards have bigger feet. So it's going to be interesting just to see where he ends in the sort of scale of things. But one thing is for sure, he does have a really large paw print. It's one very relaxed cat there. I wonder how often we've driven past him over the last few days, given that this morning I was just kind of following him around and seeing what he's been up to. He's crossed, 2 roads really. He hasn't actually walked them very much at all, and seems like he likes to kind of hide out in the thickets. And if you drove along the road now, you would, he's completely hidden on the roadside. And so I wonder if he's actually been in Juma than we think, and we've just kind of been missing him a little bit. There's been a lot of alarm calls around Juma camp recently, and a lot of movement of animals and noises, and I wonder if maybe he's actually, like I say, been hacked, and he's just been in those thickets north of Gallagher that we actually just haven't picked him up, but he's been around and kind of doing his thing. It'd be nice to know, because obviously the more time he spends here, the more comfortable he's going to feel about being in this area. Couldn't be more central on Juma today, that's for sure, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be here this afternoon, still kind of around through the course of the day. We're still sitting here. Tumba's starting to looks as though he's starting to fall asleep and take a nap. So while we see what he gets up to, let's send you back across to Scott, who I think has got an Impala that's probably a similar state to our Tumba.
Well, just like Tumba, the baby Impala has also just gone to sleep. It literally just laid in that thicket. It was standing about there, not really moving, but definitely standing up. It lay down now, so it seems like the Impala and the leopard's sleep patterns are, and for now, it means this Impala is safe. And if it continues to lie down, it'll further increase the chances of its and Tumba not recognizing it. Now, as we sit here, I know you were discussing alarm calls with Tristan, and I'm not sure who exactly asked it. I'd like to know, can the Impala recognize the alarm calls from birds and animals? And yes, they definitely can. Whether a young Impala like this has already got the ability to read those signs and realize that there's danger, I'm not entirely sure, but definitely the adults, even if squirrels, rattling cisticolas, any alarm, the antelopes and prey species will and have a close look and see why, or what is going on. So it definitely makes the predators' lives a lot more difficult. The fact that the neighborhood watch shouts at them, and then all of the animals will be could be a threat in the area. Just for like us though, often we hear birds sing and we go and look and we don't find anything, or all we find is a slender mongoose. Or, the Impala will also have those same problems. They won't necessarily know what the alarm call is, but they'll definitely know full well that it will be worth their while to stop and just pay attention and be on extra high alerts. Well, what to do? How much time left of this morning's safari? I'm kind of torn as to what to do, and we've still got quite a while. So, a tricky one to know whether to abandon our plan, the two of us in the same sighting, to try and get some cool 2 shots and just do something a little bit different, or to hit in search of anything else. So we'll give it a few more minutes. Even though Tumba has gone to sleep, he may well wake up at any moment and get back up on the move. Madison, you would like to know if animals will experience or understand fear from a young. I think definitely. You could imagine if you kind of equate things to us as humans, from a young age, or we develop quite slowly, but there'll be a certain point in our life when we're very young. If our parents were to stop and scream and say, "Run for your life," you would run for your life. And it's the same with a lot of the animals out here, the prey species, but also the predators. A young baby leopard will get, and it will need to get scared in order to survive, because if it didn't have that shock of adrenaline and fear in order to help it get out of a situation, it could get into trouble. So yes, I think a lot of all of the animals will definitely know what fear is and what animals to fear, even often their own. With lion cubs, a little lion cub will soon learn that it's far not be the most playful, and when it growls, it means it needs to be scared, because otherwise, if it doesn't pay heed to those warnings, it will get hurt. Oh, vehicle's driving about now, and it sounds like he is making its way towards Impala. Judging by the guests that I can see, they are all to the left of, or to the kind of west Impala is. So this Impala has got away with its life for now. Lucky, it's just snoozing in a bush now, and it seems like it walked straight past it, judging by, like I said, the other vehicles. Very good. Well, Tumba, maybe after something else, so why don't you with Tristan and see what's going on there?
Well, I don't know, Scott, because he's all of a sudden got interested, and he's looking. You were parked a little bit earlier, so he's pretty much where Scott was a few minutes ago, and he seems as though he's getting into. You see, look, he's getting far more slinky now, kind of getting low. Ears are flattening a little bit, and I wonder if he's not spotted this baby Impala somewhere here. I don't know if it's the same, if Scott's baby Impala's run off, but there certainly is an intention from Tumba to move direction. So I just want to get round him a little bit and just see if we can see what he's looking. So Scott is saying is southwest of the Marula tree, which is pretty much where Tumba is heading. So Tumba is right here, the Marula tree is over there. Now I wonder if he spotted where this this Impala is. I difficult to say. I'm staring straight into the sun, so I can't see anything. It's not ideal for Tumba either. He's the one looking into the sun, and there's lots of other Impalas and various other animals on the top of Quad I have to be careful of, but it looks like he's staring in the direction where Scott was, so I think he's maybe locked on. If he sees this little baby, he certainly is going to try, that's for sure. It's situations where little Tumba is going to try and kind of get into a situation where he can hunt, and it would be a perfect. I'd be so happy if he grabbed a baby Impala. Beautiful trees here that he can put it up into, so perfect place for Tumba to try and get a meal, at least for our point of view, to be able to see him really nicely if he does. But there's definitely a chance, baby Impala, for him to try and hunt it, although he doesn't seem like he's that interested, does he? I've got to clean myself up first, got to make sure I look good for the cameras before I go anywhere. I suppose when you've got lots of ticks on you, it's a good idea. Now, just now before, there he goes. I can see an Impala going past now. He's just missed the Impala running past. Tumba, you chose a very bad time to start grooming yourself. So the Impala just bounded past, and he's, like I say, not looking in the right direction, otherwise he's coming past. And he's instead has been kind of thoroughly grooming himself, and is now lying down in the bush and has missed his opportunity. But I don't know if that's the baby Impala that Scott was talking about. Is it the baby Impala that Scott was talking about, Rebecca? Who knows? I'm not sure. Okay, so it's not Impala Scott he's talking about. It was another one. So I wonder where the little baby is. Hopefully, like I say, latch onto it and then be able to watch. Obviously, it's a difficult thing to kind because you've got a young male leopard who you want to survive and you want to see him growing and a strong individual, but you, on the same time, you never really want to see little baby animals being taken by anything, really. It's a traumatic experience, and so it's kind of mixed feelings when you sit in this position, because you kind of, there's this thrill of watching a cat in action and watching a cat stalk, kind of have that back of your mind that, you know, at the end of the day, there's this tiny little baby animal that's sitting, has no idea, and it can sometimes be really quite hard to watch, particularly when it's young cat, young animals. They often get a situation where they play with their food a little bit and they kind of torment it, which is never at all. So it's, like I say, mixed feelings when you watch this. I sometimes think that some of things have been epic stalks and chases that have resulted in, you know, no kill, but it's just been amazing to watch the cat in action. So haven't, you know, you don't have the situation where you have to unfortunately go through that kind of killing process. So, but let's see how it goes. Tumba doesn't look like he's too interested now. It's almost like he's found himself a little spot, lots of long grass that he can hide in, and just kind of looks as though he's going to take it very like easy in this section and just have a bit of a nap. Now, when they themselves like this, it's often when they're prepping to take a bit of a snooze, and he's trying to kind of get them clean, and then they just flop down. It's also getting a lot hotter now, so since we've been sitting here, really the temperature is climbing quite quickly. Maybe that's also a deterrent, is that it's getting quite warm, so you'd rather just kind of in the shade now and take it a little easier. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it would be interesting to see where that little baby, and whether or not it's still hanging around very close by. It would be a perfect though for Tumba if he could just see it. But you can hear how quiet it is, even it's absolutely no sounds being made. It's quite eerie actually this morning. There's just this little breeze that's kind of rustling through. The birds are quiet. There's no animals that we can hear. It's strange. Maybe it's because of a bit of a kind of deadening a lot of the sounds that we normally hear. But you know, you sit out in the bush in the mornings, you never have a quiet moment. You normally have, you know, a dove calling or some sort of bird making a noise. Then you've got the rutting of male impalas around at the moment. There's generally something sort of noise, but this morning is quiet, except for obviously the vehicles that are stopped around me. Right, now while Tumba disappears into the long grass and makes us to see, let's send you back to Brent Leo Smith, who's in the land of the long grass, but I believe he's got various types of animals that he's busy watching at the moment.
Well, we are down on the Topi plain at the moment, and there are some Topi. Hello, Topi. Now we are checking the sort of favorite hangouts of the musketeer, Scar, Osiko, Hunter and Morani. Oh, there we go, a little boxing on behind. Oof, little snorts. Full of nonsense this morning. Meh, 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 meh. Strange beasties. Oh, there's another one from behind you, huh, to see what happens. There we go, the two men. Oh, and the third male coming in now. Now let's chase each other around in circles. Coming back. Oh no, going behind us. Or coming back? Can't see. No, they've disappeared. But oh no, they're coming back. Fighting. Oh, they're just behind the pole. Let me move you quickly. Serious at the moment, charging about, being silly. This is quite often when Topi get eaten by running around, snorting at each other, trying to fight. Oh, that's all calmed down. Keep moving, seeing if we can find those lions. Or maybe it hasn't calmed down. Oh no, they're going back. Oh, Topi, make up your mind. There you go. Requested one female away from the group. Looking very impressed with himself, although the female doesn't look too impressed. Requested. You can see how they're a little bit bigger. Their horns also. They are funny looking creatures. And seems to be a bit more Topi plane. Let's continue on and I'll search for kitty cats. Still quite chilly here in the Mara, even though the sun is in the sky. There's still a very cold, strong wind blowing. So we're going to go have a quick look at the Mara River, which is incredibly low at the moment. Now, of course, by the end of this month, the rains should start again in earnest. While we head down towards the river, let's go see what Scotty's got in a tree.
Well, happy hunting down at the river, Brent. We have got lucky with view from right below this yellow-billed hornbill. Oh, off it goes, and it was calling for quite a while. Crook, 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 crook. And I was wondering why it was calling and where it just flew off to the right of us. It did seem to possibly chase off the other hornbill. It's just in that little bush at our 3 o'clock there, Sense. The one to the right of that. Yeah, just the next one along. So there he is now, or she, looking quite big and proud after chasing off another one. And here patiently in the area of Tumba and Tristan, the two T's, and it seems like old Tumba's still snoozing, but Impala that's also snoozing is only about 40 meters away from the leopard, and if that Impala does, if it catches wind of it, I'm almost certain that that leopard will be able to cash in the meal. Having said that though, I am astounded by the fact that that lone Impala that was running through the clearings and call its mother didn't catch the attention of Tumba, because I would have assumed that Tumba would have been able to hear that and been kind of interested and intrigued by the prospect. But again, I mean, we so often get surprised by these animals. Who knows, maybe he just didn't hear it, but again, I'd find that hard to believe, and some things will just always remain in a scenario where we just can't explain or understand why things happen the way they are. Setting up like Tristan said, but there's a few clouds that are kind of dotting the sun out of the way. It's keeping things for now kind of relatively cooler, and I'm hoping that that does assist keeping Tumba more likely to move. He's a youngster, so he does have some youthful energy. I mean, I haven't actually spent much time with Tumba. I think I've only seen him once in the last 2 months. And I've seen lots of photographs of him. He's a beautiful young male. And I saw Tristan also taking a few shots this morning, so you'll be glad to know there'll be some steaming hot pictures coming. Him, a little bit later on, a very talented photographer, our friend Tristan. Alright, well, let's show you where Tristan is in relation to... He's just tucked over there, talking to some other tourists and telling them very nice stories. He's just waved them goodbye, getting ready to receive you guys, getting comfy there, sort the shorts out, good. Smart, Tristan, clear the nostrils, and that looks like he is ready for you guys to hop on board.
So, yeah. We are ready, we're all good to go. Now, funny enough, actually, it's an interesting story. The people that I was just talking to, people that I know from back when I was, one of the ladies is a mother of one of the girls I know from school, so not somebody you see every day when you're out. Actually, haven't seen that particular lady since I was 18 years old, which feels a long time ago. It was back before I had any grey hairs, and so it was just nice just to catch up, you know, how she's doing and all of that. Oh, it's not a previous Valentine, no, Fergus. It's a good question. No, it wasn't a previous Valentine. It was just a friend of mine that I had at school, and it was always good just to kind of catch up. So it's crazy who you meet out in the bush. Sometimes you kind of think that you're in the middle of nowhere, and then you sort of 2 degrees of separation. And that's one thing about living out here, is you can literally ask you for the first time and you kind of mention 10 names, and you generally will know one of them, 10 if not more. So it's a small world in the bush. Funnily enough, even though we're so remote, we tend to be kind of quite closely connected into, amongst all of us, and maybe it's because of a common sort of theme of, you know, the bush and the people that enjoy and hang out together, and that ends up kind of, you know, sort of helping grow the network, I suppose. Now, Tumba is absolutely, he is going to be hunting anything right now. I think he's decided it's too hot. I've found my nice shady spot. You can see he's gotten himself all buried down into the grass. He's groomed himself, and I think this is the point for the day. He's not going to stay here because the shade is not going to stay here the whole day, but he's certainly nice time of at least having a bit of a cool nap now while there is a little bit of shade, and gotten himself into a good place that if something does come past, and if this little Impala lamb that Scott was seeing in this direction, well, he's so well hidden that anything will stand on him. So it's going to be interesting just to see how his day goes and where he actually ends up today. I'm hoping he doesn't go far in that this afternoon, because it would be so wonderful just to see him this afternoon. Now I see Scotty is seen. He's busy driving off and pointing ever so wonderfully at things. I think him and Senzo have now spotted something. It looks like it. They might have. I don't know. We'll see just now. I'm sure if they have spotted something, you guys will all be able to see what it is. If Senzo points his camera in that direction, they certainly have stopped where I didn't think, maybe an animal. Interesting. Right, now I believe Scotty has spotted. Apparently we can go over to him and see what it actually is.
Spotty.